back, and I noted that a lot of young people who follow you and who follow opposition leaders were disappointed that you agreed to be part of this national dialogue. What is the mood currently in Senegal? Are young people... Go on.
I definitely understand that, because a lot of young people here, they have a legitimate fight because of what's been going on in the country. We are living in a very particular situation. They're calling for change. That's very legitimate. We all need the change. We all need a new leadership. After 12 years in power, I think it's time to see new young people, which is the reason actually why I am in office, because we are fed up in seeing the same thing happening all the time. And as you can see, there's a lot of lack of job in the country. Young people are dying in the oceans because of looking for hope and opportunities elsewhere. It's very expensive in Senegal. Even those who are working don't have the good pay to be able to sustain themselves. For a very wealthy country, that politicians are getting richer and richer and richer, and business people are getting poorer. Here, the richest people in this country are politicians. They are not business people. And the business people are not creating jobs because there's a lot of difficulties in the country. If you look at the fishing industry, it's a disaster here. Because of the illegal fishing. There's so many difficulties. For people like us who are farmers in the farming sector, it's extremely difficult for farmers to be able to make ends meet. So that all of that things together, and then looking at all of the, corruption that's going on around politicians, and also the same politics going on since independence, the same people running for office, the same people around since this past 20 years. This new generation wants something new, and that's legitimate. When they see people like me to go to those debates, but what I'm trying to explain to them is that where our country is right now, we're in a situation where we need to sit on the table and talk, because even if we don't agree, I am a believer of dialogue. I believe in that even the World War I, World War II, they all end up in the conversation, and we do not have to wait to go to fight, to burn the country, to put the country at unrest, than to sit down on the table. Because at the end, we're going to sit on the table. And to me, what I disagree on, I don't disagree on the streets. I don't disagree on going and fighting against police and etc. But if the head of the country is calling for a debate, this is the best platform for me to go there and share my ideas and talk about what I disagree on and propose something that can bring the country, to the middle, so we can avoid the unrest and find the best solution. That the president has to go. We all said it and we all agree on it. And I don't agree a lot on the Senegalese, the current government's, policies and the way they're running the country. But I, for the greater good of our country, went to that debate so we can have a space. We cannot leave the space empty. And that's what happened. Because most of us, if we leave the space empty, they will run the country. They will make the decisions without our say. So this is why I'm telling young people, I understand you're frustrated. I understand some of you guys disappointed because you want us all to boycott it. But if we all boycott and they stay again in power again, we're still going to be at the losing end,
if you just allow me to interject at the moment. I mean, your dissent is very apparent. But my question is it possible for a free and fair election to hold, given this picture that you painted? Whenever the election takes place, how legitimate is it going to be?
Well, that's the really hard question. Everybody knows that already now. It's not free, it's not fair, it's not inclusive. But the majority of the country, what they're saying now is that, okay, let's just go to elections right now, even if it's not fair, even if it's not inclusive, even if it's a lot of irregularities. We just got enough of this president. Just get rid of him, and then the next president will come and deal with all the irregularities. But the 19 candidates that was already chosen, everybody knows the way they were chosen and the way the other people were disqualified. Even themselves knows that there's too much irregularities. Plus, on top of it, the president spoke when he started to stop the elections that there is some alleged corruptions that was put into the names or few names of the judges that are supposed to be ruling or taking care of this election, the Constitutional Court. If there is supposed to be some corruptions, that some judges were given money to let some people in and some people out and etc., those things needs to be cleared out. Now, because of the urgency of the people to want elections right away so they can get rid of this government makes it very complicated to go to the details to figure out what's going on, to figure out what are the real issues before we go into elections. If it was in me, I would have figured out what are all of these problems to fix it so we can go to a free and fair elections. But if we have to go to election now, there's already candidates that was already chosen by the Constitutional Court, and there's discussions that they should open it up for other candidates that can make it, like Usman Sonko, who's the head of the leadership, the opposition leader, normally who should be freed in a few days or so, because the president says he's going to put an amnesty law that's going to give him the freedom to also to try to participate in the elections. So there's a lot of unknown right now going on that we will know hopefully in a few days. And today at the ministry meeting with the president, he decides to launch the amnesty that's going to go to the assembly very quick so they can have a freedom for the opposition leader. All
right. As we round up, as our time is very fast spent, I'd like to ask you this very direct question. Is this a constitutional coup in action?
Well, that's what's been interpreted by many. To me, this is debate that just happened could have been avoided if when the issues happened, because in 10 hours before the elections was supposed to be launched, that's when the president stopped the elections. Because of all those things that I say, he said that it was the reason why he had to stop the elections, so we can make sure that everything is fair and inclusive and etc. So some people call it a constitutional coup to stop the elections, you know. But the bottom line for me is that nothing is clear, nothing is fair, nothing is inclusive from the beginning. Because from the beginning, you know, there was candidates that was picked, handpicked, and selected. From the beginning, there was a lot of maneuvering going on to eliminate candidates that were supposed to be a danger for them, or they know could have win the elections. They found ways to put them out, put them on the side. And if we go into a democratic process, and this country is known for its exemplary democracy, we never had this kind of issues where it goes so deep that you have to choose who's going to be the candidate, who's going to be participating, and etc. This is why it's extremely difficult for our country today, inside, but also in the image of Senegal across the world, because the world is watching what's going on here, and it's not helping us. But we want to move fast, and I trust the process. I trust the ability of Senegalese to be in this kind of position, but to be back in the table to figure out inside the home, to figure out how we're going to fix this problem so we can go on the other side that people are expecting that we can go into. I'm optimistic that we'll find solutions. Absolutely. I'm optimistic that we'll all come back to our terms, then everybody will get a chance to participate, and we can pass this hurdle to go to the serious urgency, the fierce urgencies of this country, which is finding jobs for our people, restore dignity for the Senegalese that needs that today, and only after these elections we'll be able to get that.
And of course, ECOWAS right now needs a very beautiful story that celebrates democracy. Tion Niang.